Hey guys, what's up? Josie back here again. Let's talk about this Vikings versus Bears. Abysmal performance by the Vikings, and let's look at what happened in this one starting off first quarter. A very bizarre first drive for the Bears that took up about half of the first quarter, and that was kind of the theme of this game. So the Bears started off, one of the very first plays, the Vikings tackle Trubisky. He gets hurt, shoulder injury. He's done for the game, probably a few weeks. But on that play, also Trubisky fumbles. The Vikings recover, but on an Anthony Harris holding penalty, they not only get the ball back, but they get a free first down. First lucky part of this drive, and also part two is that Chase Daniel might be better than Trubisky. And then later in the drive, the Bears get yet another fumble, but I believe they've recovered this one, whatever, they keep their drive going, and they end it with a touchdown by some guy throwing the ball named Chase Daniel. Vikings get the ball, and don't let the end score fool you in the last two quarters. The Vikings' first drive was pretty solid. Sure, helped by a few penalties. But the Vikings were driving, and they had a shot to tie this game up at 7. We have a wide open Thielen, right, 5 yard at the 5 yard line, easy touchdown, and Cousins overthrows him by 5 yards. And the Vikings have to punt. That's a huge play where the Vikings could have tied the game up. Totally different game. And right after that, there was no chance really for the Vikings to get any more momentum. The Bears had another insanely long drive, and they end up getting a field goal. The Vikings get the ball back, and another good drive. Down by 10. Points here would be great. The Vikings are driving. Stephon Diggs catches it. It looks like it was an incomplete pass, but after a review, they say Diggs fumbled the ball and recovered by Chicago. And then they have another drive. And at the end of the first half, Vikings only had 2 offensive possessions to start this game for the full first half, which is absolutely insane. A lot of this is the defense could not get off the field. I thought that overall in this defense, they were playing way too loose. They were playing about 5 or 8 yards back every single time, and all Chase Daniel was doing is little slant patterns and little underneath routes to Tariq Cohen and his gang underneath. And by the way, Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander were all horrible. They cannot cover any of these Bears receivers. The receivers are good. The Bears do have good weapons, and they have a good offensive line to give them time to get their routes to be progressive enough to get them that extra step. But our corners are not doing us any favors, and we're playing way too loose. So they were getting a lot of those easy first downs, a lot of first and second downs, and third and shorts, and they kept moving the chains. So the Vikings started this game 10-0. Second half, the Vikings get the ball. And then, very first play, Khalil Mack strip sack. Kirk Cousins is horrible. And at that point, the game just feels like it's over. There's no real chance. The Vikings end up getting 6 points at the end of the game and lose the Bears 16-6. So, let's look at the box score and get a little bit more of a player-by-player picture of what happened in this one. Starting off with Kirk Cousins. Every Vikings fan, ever, say this is a horrible game for Cousins, and I cannot agree more. Now, this is one where his stat sheet's going to look okay. He was 27 out of 36 for 233 yards, 6.5 average. And you look, oh, he got sacked 6 times for 51 yards. Obviously, his offensive line was just horrible. That's not really the case. The Bears' defense is good, first and foremost, but Cousins, just his pocket awareness was bad. He was not being able to make those throws where he needed to, where he was just checking down some other receivers that shouldn't have got it. But, so look at the receivers. So despite the fumble, take the fumble away, Stephon Diggs had a phenomenal day. 7 targets, caught all 7 of them for 108 yards, 15.4 average, along with 39. A fantastic day for Diggs. Target him more. Number 2 receiver, Adam Thielen. Inexcusable. 2 receptions on 6 targets, only 6 yards for a top 20 receiver in the NFL. Inexcusable when you're down from the very first drive and you cannot get the ball to one of the best weapons you have on your entire team. You have to find a way to get Thielen involved, and I think that's something the Vikings should have done, where you ran the ball. In this one, I think you could say you ran the ball too much in run obvious situations when you just have to at some point just get it going and get some confidence building throws for Cousins and get these receivers going and just get that threat in the defensive coordinator's mind that, hey, this team can actually pass the football. But the number 2 receiver on the stat sheet, Bissy Johnson, a good showing for Bissy, has held out this entire season so thus far without a reception and hauls in his first 4 on all 4 targets. He catches them all for 35 yards, a solid first day where he got a good amount of work for Bissy. Caught them all. Great day for Bissy. Dalvin Cook. He didn't run the ball great, but he got involved a little bit in the receiving game. He got 6 receptions on 8 targets. I think that's a little bit much for a running back. And 35 yards. Solid day for Dalvin in the receiving game. And then you go down. Kyle Rudolph, 1 reception, 12 yards, only 1 target. He's too good for that little bit of production. CJ Ham got 4 targets, 3 receptions for 10 yards. Why? Why? Out of all of our receiving options, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith, Dalvin Cook, Madison, Abdullah, Bissy Johnson, you're going all the way down that list, and CJ Ham's probably best receiving options 7 or 8. And for some reason, he's getting 4 targets in this game. That is absolutely pathetic and just ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to check it down, do it to one of your quicker players that can make the first guy miss. A guy like Dalvin Cook, who match him up on a linebacker, you dump it off 50% of the time, he'll make that guy miss and turn a 3-yard reception into 8 or 9. Instead, CJ Ham's just going to get tackled right away. Sure, he might fall forward. He's more of a power back. But there's so many better options. Stephon Diggs, light. They're doing a lot of slants to him. He'll make that first guy miss, and he'll get you 10 yards. He's averaging 15.4 for a reason. Give it to one of your quicker receivers. Even Irv Smith, matched up on a linebacker, would be a much better option than CJ Ham when you have these other receivers deep. And watching the film does not help Cousins as routes are progressing. Diggs and Thielen are getting open, and he refuses to throw to these superstar receivers. Horrible game for Thielen, but a running game did not help him. Dalvin Cook, 14 carries, 35 yards, 2.5 average. He still did get a touchdown, and Madison 2 for 5. So in a day where when we had 16 carries for only 40 yards at 2.5 average, you need a passing game, and the Vikings did not have it with Kirk Cousins, and a lot of fans are thinking this is not good. We won't be getting that from Cousins anytime soon. So the Bears on offense, almost all Chase Daniel. He had 23. He completed 22 passes on 30 attempts for 195 yards, 6.5 average, and a touchdown. Doesn't look very impressive, but all he was doing was being a perfect game manager for this offense, completing first down after first down, eating up clock, not making mistakes. Exactly what you want on a defensive-oriented team that wants a good running game. That's what you want out of your quarterback, and he executed that perfectly. The running game was not good. If you're a Vikings fan, you come into this game, stop the run, we probably win, and we did, but we did not win. David Montgomery, the rookie running back, 21 carries, 53 yards, only 2.5 average. Tariq Cohen, their scat back, 5 carries, 11 yards. Ended the day with 33 carries for only 72 yards, a 2.2 average, which was worse than the Vikings in a day where the running games of both teams were horrible. That's when it's going to come down to quarterback play, and Chase Daniel absolutely outplayed Kirk Cousins in this game. That should say a whole lot. Both running games were bad. Vikings were a .3 average higher than the Bears. So it's going to come down to the quarterbacks and the passing game, and the Bears just outplayed the Vikings on offense in that aspect of the game. And the receiving for the Bears, like I said, I thought it was way too lax for the Vikings defense. Not a whole lot of pressure. Defensive ends were doing great still. Everson and Hunter were great. But everyone else, just so many wide open plays. Allen Robinson, 7 targets, 7 receptions, 77 yards. Rhodes is horrible. It's like he only shows up to play against one of these top 5 all-pro wide receivers. Otherwise, it's mediocre at best for Rhodes, and if we could get a Jalen Ramsey trade soon, that'd be great. And we let some guy named Javon Wins have 4 receptions for 56 yards. Just not a good game. I know it's not a ton of yards. It's 204 receiving yards for the Bears, which isn't going to break you, but it was too easy and too consistently easy. Giving those easy 6 or 7 yard passes, and it's just not going to do good. You have to make this backup quarterback earn it, and I don't understand why we're letting them have these easy completions. I did not like the game plan on the offensive and defensive side of the ball in this one. But let's look at the Vikings defense, and Eric Kendricks led the day with tackles. And a great sign for a cornerback is when you're number 2 on the team with tackles. Xavier Rhodes was just that. Got 8 tackles on the day, which means he let his guy catch a lot of balls. 7 of those were solo, and I bet all of them were cases where he let the guy get open on that slant and he tackles him. Yeah, you got that tackle. That's great, but you're a cornerback first, and our corners did not play well. Otherwise, we had a sack from Shamar Stephen, which was pretty neat. And we had a lot of quarterback pressures and hits. Again, Hunter and Griffin were not a part of the reason we lost this game. And then we could not force an interception, and I believe we could not get a fumble in this one either. So that was not good. And of course, the Vikings had all kinds. We fumbled the ball 3 times in this game. We've lost 2. Cousins fumbled twice. That it's at some point where it's just something you'll have to. This is just what Kirk Cousins is. It's like Adrian Peterson. He's going to fumble the football, and kind of like Adrian, it might be easier to just strip the ball out than let him play and try to defend the pass. And Stephon Diggs with 1 fumble, which is kind of a bang-bang play, kind of the new rule. He made that football move, so it made sense. I think even taking the Vikings fan goggles on, and you're like, all right, according to this rule, that's a fumble, sure. And then the Chicago on defense, so much Khalil Mack was just in the backfield all the time in the run game and just in Cousins' face. A sack and a half for Roy Robertson Harris and Khalil Mack. The Vikings had such a horrible time. 6 sacks on the day, 8 tackles for loss. It was rough. When you're playing against a Chicago Bears defense that is depleted with injuries, with 3 or 4 guys are out, almost half your starting defense is out, and you just could not play around it. I would love some game plan changes where I have Kirk Cousins on the move. Do rollouts, boots, get on the outside, make their defenders chase him down, tire him out at the very least, and make their defense play their entire length of the field instead of this straight 3 to 5 step drop backs, and see if Kirk Cousins can read a defense and hope his first read is open, because he's not going to go off his first read very often. And we could have done that. On defensively, tighten up the coverage, and I think this game could have been a lot different. This was a game where it was extremely frustrating, and a big part of that was because we had our chances in the first half. It could have easily started off where if Thielen catches that ball, touchdown, it's 7-7. The Bears score, that's 10-7. And then if Diggs does not fumble, it's again at least a field goal there. It can be easily have been 10-10 at halftime, and at least it would have been competitive. So I'm not surprised that we lost. I had in my game preview guessing that the Vikings would lose by 7, lost by 10, a little bit more. But just a frustrating one where they're down there to their backup quarterback, their defense depleted, and the Vikings just couldn't make plays. Kirk Cousins, namely, offensive line did not live up to this big test, and on to New York and the Giants to take them on, and hopefully a good redemption game coming up, and hopefully a good confidence building game up next week. We'll talk about that soon. We'll see you guys in the next Josie Vikings video. See you guys then.